Hello there, and welcome to my channel. Today, Boys in the Boat came out on streaming, and I wanted to give it a chance. It's a dramatic underdog tale about a crew of rowers from Washington University that went to the 1936 Olympics in Germany. The film is based on a book by Daniel James Brown and was adapted into a screenplay by Mark L. Smith. George Clooney directed the film, which stars Joel Edgerton as Coach Al Ulbrichtson, Callum Turner as Joe Rance, and Peter Guinness as George Pocock. The film tells the tale of how they came to be a team, how they won their first competitions, how they qualified for the Olympics, and how they did at them. It starts with Joe before he joined the team and sets up his backstory before launching into the team tryouts. It's a feel-good story, so there are a lot of motivational speeches, mentor-like personalities, and a lot of honest emotions. We learn a lot about each of the team members and the three coaching staff, and watch as they take on teams with much better funding and a lot more prestige. There is also a minor romance storyline in the background between Joe and Joyce. The story is told through the perspectives of Joe and Coach Al. Joe Rance is a poor young man living alone in a broken-down car in a shanty town. He desperately needs a job, and the rowing team promises to pay them if they make the cut. Seeing an opportunity to make some money, he signs up with his friend Roger. Coach Al Ulbrichtson is a long-standing coach at Washington who's on the chopping block if his team loses. He's a serious man with a loving wife, a supportive staff, and a team full of potential. When he sees just how much, he takes a huge risk to bet on them. The two of them are surrounded by a cast of young men on the rowing team, each with their own little personality quirk. Then there's the other coach, Tom Bowles, and the team's shipmaker, Joe Pocock. There are also a few supporting characters from their friends and family, a few coaches from the other teams, and officials from the leagues they compete in. The visual journey involves 3 races, a lot of montages of the team practicing for said races, and small portions of Joe and Coach Al's personal lives. The story takes place in 1936 in Seattle, Washington. For big standout moments, you have 3 races and all the extras hired to make them look like big public events, and a few standout shots of the actors as they converse in highly dramatic ways. Sound-wise, the film uses orchestral instrumentals to back the story, with a few original songs here and there throughout the film. The original songs tend to be jazz or folk songs, and they mostly play during montages. Music also plays a big part in the team's creation. They had a musician amongst them, and they like to sing together as a way of having fun. Several times, the crew of young men get together to belt out a classic tune, and it does wonders for their synergy. Alright, how was the movie? The writing makes sense and gives you characters you want to root for. It creates highly exciting situations in the form of races, and it does a great job of executing its journey. That said, it never feels like the characters are at any risk of losing. They don't focus on other great teams, they don't really stumble at all, and the biggest setbacks they face are illness and a bit of trauma. And the film doesn't show you how they get over it, they just do. It's also yet another underdog story. If you have seen one of these films, you've basically seen them all. This movie isn't an exception. That said, the cast does an incredible job of their roles. Most of the screen time goes to the men playing the rowing team, and they do a wonderful job of portraying a rowdy bunch of young athletes as they strive for greatness. They're supported by a large cast that does a great job of recreating the fervor and excitement of the time, and a boatload of extras that help make each of the events feel like a real-life race. There are also a few standouts: Joel Edgerton, Callum Turner, and Peter Guinness. Joel Edgerton plays Coach Al, a disciplined man who doesn't stand for nonsense. He's hard on his team and puts up a brave face in front of them and others when standing up for them. In private, he doubts himself and leans on those around him. Edgerton creates a gravitas that makes him a natural leader, and does wonders with the subtle emotions of the role. Callum Turner doesn't get to speak much in his role as Joe, but he does get to play out a tough emotional journey. His character is a young man suffering from a horrific home life and trying to maintain a certain image. We see Turner put on a master class of subtle emotional work as we explore Joe's life, and we see him play out several outbursts and big emotional confrontations. Peter Guinness is a mentor-like figure for Joe, and he teaches him a lot while helping him relax and concentrate. The scenes of him lecturing to Joe as they work on the boat reminded me of a lot of great father figures of old trying to reach out and help the next generation. Guinness does a wonderful job of the monologues and showing concern for the boys. Visually, the film is made up of the team and staff spending time at the university practicing for the races and competing in the races. The journey itself is clear, incredibly well shot, and full of old-fashioned vibrance. The races are huge standout moments with a plethora of beautiful river shots and big shots of the crowd and their reactions. These moments have a ton of energy in them and manage to sweep you up in the hype. There are also a ton of great emotional moments where they manage to capture the actors' performances in wonderful detail. Sound-wise, the film makes effective use of its soundtrack to support the emotional journey. The music is fun and catchy and fits well with the aesthetic they're trying to achieve. The original songs the cast sings make for great storytelling beats, and there are even a few big moments in the story where the music seems to be pulling most of the weight. That said, most of the tracks are generic sounding and easily forgettable. They follow the story beats well, but they make this story sound like every other underdog tale. Overall, The Boys in the Boat is a solid feel-good story. It's a little bit cliche, but the visuals are good, the acting is great, and the soundtrack is solid. If you like rooting for the little guy, this movie's right for you. As for a rating, I'd give this film a 7 out of 10. Remember, these are just my thoughts on the film. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. Bye-bye.